Right, we're going to look at the end-to-ends first of all. End-to-end, this is all safely isolated. We're going to take out all our conductors for the ring. And we're going to separate them and identify them into their incoming and outgoing legs by what we call the outgoing, or I'm going to designate outgoing. I'm going to stick upwards, and the incoming I'm going to stick downwards. And we can sometimes tell because it's been identified by the installer here with little labels or pen strokes. Otherwise we can look for the sheathing if it's a sheath cable, and then identify the up ones and the down ones. That's going to be a downer. End to end, remember to null your leads if they aren't already nulled. Mine are. It's DC, low ohms, the plus and the negative on the tester, and we're going to check that we have a ring by going from brown to brown, blue to blue, green and yellow to green and yellow. Brown to brown. That's little r1s, got 0.24 on that. Little r2s, the green and yellow, we've got 0.24 on that, and we've got 0.24 on the blues. Now remember, if you're using 70-degree thermoplastic PVC sheathed, PVC insulated, multi-core, open brackets, flat closed brackets, or twin and earth, you might have a differential cross-sectional area on your CPC. The CPC might be smaller, so it might give a bit more resistance than 0.24. Right, the next stage is your crossovers. Now we're going to do big R1 plus big R2 is going to be your CPC upwards and your brown downwards, your CPC downwards and your brown upwards. So let's get the separate legs. The outgoing leg brown to the incoming leg green and yellow. Okay. And the outgoing green and yellow to the incoming green brown, as designated by the uppity-uppityness of it, or the downity-downitiness of it. Right. There we go. Now, swap over to our socket testing lead. And we're going to test between the brown and the green on this occasion pins. Now they always, this is dead testing, so they always go into the DC outlets. Forget the blue one at all costs. And we're going into every single socket here. Try and work off the oxidation, the tarnishing within the socket by going in and out to get the lowest possible reading. So what we're looking at here is about 0.16 on most of them. And you take the largest one, 0.12 there. All right. So what's that telling us? Little r1 plus little r2 over 4, so 0.24 times 2 0.24 plus 0.24 is 0.48, divided by 4 is 0.12. We're looking for about 0.12 on the big R1 plus big R2, and indeed, now, that's stage 2. Stage 1 was the end-to-ends, crossover stage 2. The next crossover is going to be the neutrals. Now, we would have written that is the R1 plus R2, capital R1 plus R2 reading. This result we do not write down, is not required in our scheme of test results, but we still take it. And the confusion with students is that we're using the DC power outlets of our tester, but instead of going from the brown pin to the green and yellow, we want to go from the blue pin. Now we test, and we should have about the same results for those as well. Got about the same result, which is what we're expecting there. Okay. Just remains, while we've got the ring out of position, to carry out our ring insulation resistance testing. And the insulation resistance testing, quite a lot of electricians, and I'm one of them, I used to make sure I'd clamped both ends of my ring into my tester. But we've just proved that with the end-to-ends that is joined to that. So in fact we only need to put, and it doesn't matter which end we go on, if we're going, say, from the brown to the green and yellow at 500 volts, 999 million ohms, to the blue from the CPC, it doesn't matter which end we choose, again 999, and both live conductors as they will become, making sure nothing is plugged in obviously, and there we are, 999 ohms. Million ohms. Now, the next stage is more important than when you were building it in the first place, because it's not now going to be subject to any tests. So when you put these and re-terminate them, make sure you do the tug test. Make sure that you terminate them properly and in the correct terminal, because nobody's coming in after you as you're the tester. Your testing is done. You've now got to put these back in and not be able to rely on anybody coming in after you and correcting your mistakes. Okay. Now notice I use my 6-inch long nose pliers for all of this.
Make sure they're behind the clamp.
And they're not. Clamp needs to be opened up.